Op dit moment zijn we aan het werk aan Opera on Brainwaves, waarbij we de ambitie hebben om de hersengolven van de bekende sopranozangeres Elise Caluwaerts te gaan vertalen in real time naar een jurk die volledig kan veranderen van kleur. Ik denk dat de modesector echt wel de kans krijgt en er een grote opportuniteit is om van een massa-overconsumptie-industrie te gaan naar een self-sustaining systeem en platform, waarbij ik stiekem droom van een toekomst waarbij we nog maar één kledingstuk meer hebben die alles kan. En die zich natuurlijk aanpast naar de noden van de drager en die als een soort van digitale twin functioneert om de beste versie van jezelf te zijn.
In my vision of the future, we all wear this one garment, just like these guys. I imagine a garment which adapts itself after you drop the kids at school and you hurry into an important board meeting. And then another time when you go out for cocktails in the newest speakeasy in town. I believe in a nearby future where fashion is an extension of yourself. Garments that are embedded with sensors that will deliver real-time feedback on yourself and the world around you. These garments are made of smart textiles that can change color, form, and are adapting towards your unique needs and identity, adding extra functions, just like your phone does. What if you could know exactly when your partner is feeling sad and could use a hug? Or when somebody's feeling inspired and just wants to be by themselves, to focus. It's in those occasions where words just aren't enough. When we want to express ourselves, but we don't know really how to. When we want others to understand what we feel without necessarily saying it out loud. So instead of sending emojis, words, pictures, what if we could visualize emotions, simulate them, or even transfer them? Well, coming from a fashion design background, the foundations of my work are coming from a designer and maker's perspective. And very early on, I started pushing the boundaries, which resulted in speculative concepts for future applications. With the Jasna Rok Lab, we want to create the future. We want to make it comprehensible and tangible for a larger audience by creating experiences. Also, we would love more people to join the debate and lead them into the discovery of an augmented, optimistic future. My personal journey? Well, that began 6 years ago when I was graduating from Fashion Design Academy. I was at my finish line where you have to, show your graduation project. It's your calling card, your magnum opus, your pièce de la résistance. Your entire creative future depends on it. You can imagine the stress. It was really intense. I wanted to build something which was innovative, imaginative, functional, simply mind-blowing. Of course, the other 29 students want to do exactly the same thing. The competition was intense. You can imagine how much stress that I was experiencing. Actually, one day I was so stressed out that I couldn't move. I woke up and I couldn't even get out of bed anymore. I was completely freaking out. So laying there, I could only realize that I simply lost a connection with myself. Looking down at my hands and my legs, I started to wonder, what if my pajamas could help me out? right now? And there was the answer to a much larger question. Stress or no stress? I got out of bed, I had found my mission. So what I did is I devoted my research on exploring the connection between the brain and fashion, which resulted in the creation of the Fashion on Brainwaves collection. And now when I look back at it, for me, it looks like a primitive prototype to demonstrate how emotions can be presented in fashion design. Let's have a look at it. The Fashion on Brainwaves collection is the first collection in the world that is translating your brainwaves in real time into morphing fashion. It is picking up multiple brain frequencies and then translating it directly into either light, waveforms, or shapes on the body. It can be seen as a direct symbol for a neural network. It actually led me to figure out a new way to communicate through the direct perception of neural networks. Neuroscience is teaching us that self-expression might be one, if not the most important way for people to connect, grow, and navigate with each other. So, how are you feeling right now? Are you interested? Are you bored? Are you curious? Are you excited? Well, let us have a look at how it works. This is exaltation. It's the first piece of the Fashion on Brainwaves collection, and here you receive real-time neurofeedback through the movement of the color. It makes you much more self-aware of how relaxed or stressed you are, and it makes it possible for you to directly interact with it. So how does it work? Well, this is an EEG sensor, and that is picking up your brain frequencies in real time, and then it gets sent to a microcontroller in the outfit, which directly tells the motors to change from position. It means if the color goes up, you are really, really stressed out, and you are forced to first come back to yourself before you can go to the outer worlds. Of course, we are in space. This is a demonstrator. A mannequin doesn't have brains. We all know that. But it's just to give you an indication of how it works and what is the technology behind it. For the next outfit, we will have a live demonstration. And for that, I'm taking you to the USA. Bright is a brain visualizer. Each color is connected to a certain brainwave, but not only the colors are interesting to analyze, so are the animations. So what we can see over here is a color code, but also the dress unveils when somebody's feeling shy, excited, concentrated. So what does it reveal right now? Let's have a look. So what I actually can see right now that Carrie is feeling quite okay, because if she would be very excited, the dress would start flickering all the way. If she would be shy, it would seems like the dress is blushing. But now we see like a repeating pattern coming back, which is like, I'm okay, but I'm a little bit nervous. Of course, we as an audience can influence that, so maybe if we give her a big applause, she will get very excited. So. This wasn't a seamless process though. I hacked several EEG sensors to extract data from the brain and get them into Excel. Yes, I know. Long live Excel, right? And then after that, I wanted to convert the brain data towards different kind of outputs, like LEDs and microcontrollers, motors, so I could create my first visualizations. The first thing I built was a painting machine. What I do is I took a motor, attached a paintbrush to it inside of a bin, so I could start painting with my own brain. It was fantastic until I blew up the limits technically, and I blew up the whole thing. Yes, with smoke and everything. But hey, in this process, you're prototyping. It's a lot of fun, and more importantly, it leads you to innovation. Actually, these experiences, they led me to design MindLight. MindLight is a smart jewel that can train your brain to focus. A minute. Here it is. So you get real-time neurofeedback on how focused you are by the LEDs inside of it. And by learning from that feedback, you can simply make yourself more productive. This kind of technology is already used on Earth today. There, it functions as a lamp, and it can signal your colleagues whether it's the right time to interrupt you or not, and ask a question. MindLight also can become a very helpful tool for children with autism or anybody who has a hard time concentrating. And as well, think of applications for jobs that require razor-sharp focus, like pilots or astronauts. What if their garments could notify them about their loss of focus, and then help them again by adding visual stimuli or pressure until they reach their required state of focus again? You know what? We can even go one step further. Because if you connect your brain interface garment or jewel with the Internet of Things, you can connect your brain to anything you want. Let's, for example, connect it to your Netflix account. And the end of the movie would change depending on how you're feeling. Or all your notifications get shut down or not, depending if you need to focus. As you can see, the possibilities are endless. Now, these artistic prototypes, they have been showcased at the most future-shaping events, from the biggest fashion tech show in India, to TEDx, to South by Southwest in Texas, places where CEOs and future thinkers come together to get inspired and take out new ideas. And actually, in 2018, it got picked up by NASA. Here you can see Paramita, Carrie, Michael, or Tuna for the friends, and they are 3 leading engineers at NASA. Together with them, over the last 3 years, I've been working together on the future of space communication and space travel. And there, the Fashion on Brainwaves collection was used as a starting point to explore how we could improve mental well-being in space and on Earth. And this whole process, this whole journey, made me realize that the overarching universal topic in all of my work is emotional intelligence, or empathy. And we all know that emotional intelligence is the most valuable skill in the future of work, and there are already many CEOs using it to unlock innovation. Now, I can tell you that an empathy mindset is not only important to accelerate at work, but also in your daily life. So, the question is, how can you apply this to yourself? Well, research has shown that when we see and understand ourselves clearly, we are more confident, we are more creative, we make sounder decisions, we build stronger relationships, and we communicate more effectively. So, high emotional self-awareness makes you more successful. And that's only the first step of emotional intelligence. And I'm really happy and grateful today because we are welcoming a new partner. His name is David Caruso. He's an expert in emotional intelligence and founder of AI Skills. I met him at ESA during a workshop. We are connecting the dots, right? I'm standing in a spaceship. So to honor him, I would love to share a quote from him with you. Now, you can all read this yourself, so please read this 3 times out loud, so you really understand what this is about. So how about augmenting ourselves through fashion, adding a 6th sense, making the unseen seen, linking fashion and technology to emotional intelligence non-verbally really feels natural to me. I mean, fashion has been a means of self-expression to communicate our identity, culture, roles, ever since humans left our caves. It's our history, and at the same time, it's our future. Now, before we go any further, I would like to take the time for 3 questions to come in. Hello? Mission Control? Can you please beam up 3 questions?
Hello, Space 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Roger.
We have a first question coming from Earth. What is it like being there? Can you see us?
Hello. Well, being here, floating around in space, it's so magical. It really changes you significantly because it has a major impact on your brain and how you perceive the world. I mean, looking at the Earth, she's so small. You really start realizing we only have one planet and we really should take care about her. And honestly, I know we've seen all these amazing movies, but I cannot see you right now at this moment because there is a delay, of course, in the transfer of data.
We have another question.
Yes.
How were you connected with Fujitsu?
Oh, that's a really nice question. Well, back in the days, we still had social media, right? Which was a big thing. And there was a manager, Stan, who reached out to me on LinkedIn, actually. So there the first connection happened, and after that it was, yeah, like meeting the people of Fujitsu was like coming home.
The last question. Are these clothes unisex and one size fits all?
Oh, I really love this question. I don't know who asked it, but I think it might be somebody who really loves fashion. Maybe you even would love to wear this yourself. Well, actually, I'm gonna tell you a very small secret. Do you remember at NASA that they had a very big problem with having women up in space? You know, the thing back then was that they didn't have enough fitting spacesuits for women because they didn't have one size fits all. So I think one size fits all, it's really, really important to have that, certainly to solve larger problems like that. So, mission control, is there any question further coming in? Okay, let me check. There is a little problem in the back. I'm gonna check. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, great. Everything is okay over here. Yeah, there's always sometimes an emergency situation, so we always have to take care of that firstly. Time to continue our journey. And it's getting even more interesting now because we will look into some examples of co-creation driven by cross-industry innovation. Our next destination is India, New Delhi. In India, we worked on a project together with Volkswagen to explore on how emotions and technologies can be integrated in the future smart cars. Maybe the heating system of your chair is turned on and off automatically, detecting your needs. Or the headlights of your car could wink to the pedestrians to let them know, hey, it's okay, you can cross the street. Or imagine being driven home by just thinking of it. Since Google already knows where you live, well, another quick example of a co-creation we did in India is a collaboration with OnePlus. Together with them, we launched their OnePlus 5T phone with a video campaign that reached more than 1 million views in about a week. I mean, it's very clear the purpose of this collaboration certainly is marketing, but we have to look at a bigger perspective here. We are at the beating heart of the telecom industry. Maybe our most favorite industry to be at, because it's all about communication and technology. Today, technology should bring us more closer, although it's separating us more than ever before. We lose sensation of the people around us. And herein lies a paradox. We can solve this by adding more personalized layers to our methods of communication. And this is something that I personally investigated during my artist in residence at Nokia Bell Labs. Together with the researchers of Nokia Bell Labs, we were looking towards new modes of empathic communication. We decided to build the first emotional intelligent garment in the world. Since emotions are audible and detectable in human speech, we used that human verbal communication as data, as an input. And then through existing software, we were able to analyze in which emotion group you were at. Then knowing your emotion, we would translate that into words a non-verbal, visible and invisible feedback system. And for the non-verbal, invisible haptic feedback, we looked at nature for inspiration. Think of a porcupine fish, making itself bigger, blowing up, pushing out its spikes when it feels threatened. Or paradise birds, showing off their beautiful colors and dancing skills to mate with another bird. Little disclaimer, This is not always as successful for human beings, so don't try this at home or in our spaceship. Another inspiration I found during my trip in the jungle of Yucatan in Mexico. There I stumbled upon these giant Mayan trees, the holy Mayan trees. They are really, really, really important in the cosmovision of the Mayan culture. Which I really was intrigued by is these spikes on top of the trunk of the tree. This is a natural form of self-protection. There's no one who can climb the tree, inclusive animals to steal fruits. It's a perfect example of setting clear boundaries, something we as human beings certainly can learn from. You will see that the design of these spikes comes back in the design of Reconnect. Reconnected's garment is completely 3D printed on textiles. And back then, there wasn't a methodology to 3D print on textiles. So we first had to figure out that one, find a new technique, which we did. Now it's called direct infusion. It took us hundreds of hours prototyping, 3D printing, before we got to the final result. But as well here, it was fun to do it, and we learned so much from it. This is an example of the experimentation we did on the haptic feedback, on the technical layer that comes beneath the fashion layer. Here you can see that we were trying out and experimenting with different kind of materials. In the end, we used silicones because that really feels like a second skin. And we played around with different kind of haptic feedbacks, vibrators, blowing up, using soft robotics, inflatables, spikes that were pushing out, because pain is also a haptic feedback. And what you should understand is that using a haptic feedback layer that gives real-time emotional feedback to the wearer is super important, because it makes it more private and intimate. And emotions are still private and intimate. Now, all of this prototyping resulted, of course, in the first prototypes of Reconnect, which was an emotion identifier using a tiny microphone. For that, I'd love to take you back to Antwerp.
I found it quite inspiring to look at it and to see how clothes would react on emotions of people.
But what I think about the combination of detecting emotions and bringing into what people wear, I think there are some good things about it and some challenges.
I don't want my own emotional private feelings to be exposed in such a public setting, but for sure in a private setting, when I'm talking with my wife remotely over the phone, I wouldn't mind. If we are able to sense what a person is feeling, what we are able to capture the emotions of a person and then are able to transmit it in the appropriate way and then play it back, which is exactly this project here about how to play back that in non-visual, non-audio forms that are much more intimate, much more personal. I think that is a very, very interesting and important topic, and that's something that I saw here and I think it's quite interesting.
These newly gained insights coming from experts in the field of the telecom industry really helped us to create the final piece of Reconnect. The final piece of Reconnect is an emotional intelligent garment with a voice interface and as well an interactive color that can change color, that blows up around your neck and chest that vibrates at certain frequencies. For example, we found out that if you vibrate a certain mathematical frequency on your collarbone, it really feels like having butterflies in your belly. I mean, we all remember how it felt the very first time to fall in love. And it's amazing how you can simulate this with an emotional intelligent garment. So Reconnect resulted in being an emotional intelligent garment, the first of its kind to identify, mimic, and simulate emotions. When I was on a mission for the US Embassy in Texas, a veteran came up to me and asked if this could be used in the military to help them cope with post-traumatic stress. There it could help them, he told me, to share what they are feeling with their partners and psychologists without using words. And apparently, I'm doing a little bit like this because for that guy, it was really, really, really difficult to express himself. And he also told me that there are still a lot of people committing suicide, and I was deeply touched by that. We should not forget about them. Now, at the other side, there are also other interesting things in the healthcare. The Parkinson Voice Initiative is using voice application like this. They are implementing it already today to detect Parkinson's disease in a very early stage. They aim to use changes in intonation to anticipate what's going wrong with the muscles. So that's a very interesting thing to think about. As well, in the beginning of Corona, scientists used voice applications to detect if you had COVID-19. And as we are floating here through space, I feel it's the ideal moment to reveal my personal dream. It's my dream to integrate these new methods of empathic communication in the next generation spacesuits. To go to the moon, test and pioneer in emotional transfer on an interplanetary level. That's my dream. That's my mission. And in fact, the final realization of Reconnect brought me one little step closer towards realizing that dream. I'll tell you what happened. Before Reconnect was even finished, Space Center Houston reached out to us asking if we wanted to exhibit our work on emotional well-being in their new exhibition, Bionic Me. Bionic Me is an expo that explores how wearable technology in the future can help NASA's astronauts. Of course, we said yes. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, let's go there. Let's go to Space Center Houston and let's hear what they have to say about it. In the end, they can explain much better.
Reconnect is a unique, emotionally intelligent garment. It is a first of its kind identifier and augmenter of human emotion, which creates new levels of empathic communication. Able to pinpoint and track emotions through speech, Reconnect translates and morphs them into fashion. Wearers and those in their immediate environment get real-time visual and haptic feedback. Inspired by the way a porcupine fish balloons its spikes to fend off others, nature proves once again worthy to learn from. Through biomimicry, humans will have yet more ways to communicate. And still, clothing remains nothing more than an extension of ourselves, When we wear our clothes as an interface to the outer world, we can receive responses to our innermost feelings. The Reconnect line helps us better understand others and ourselves by guiding how we should communicate with a more advanced ability to decode human emotion. Imagine if astronauts, as they travel through space, can communicate with their loved ones back home. Astronauts' mental well-being cannot be overlooked in order to make space travel possible for the rest of humanity. After all, gazing upon the Earth from space changes us significantly, and sharing this with others can only help create a more connected and peaceful world.
As humans venture further from Earth during longer duration space missions, we will have to consider the impact it has on our own emotions as well on those we leave behind. Our mental health might be one, if not the most important piece in making this a successful story. And simultaneously, these technological advances, they will improve the quality of life for humans on the ground. With all the projects at the Jasna Rok Lab, we want to unleash more potential in ourselves and in others. We want to inspire and empower the next generation of resilient leaders, leaders who lead effectively, who care for their people and drive positive impacts. Each project is like a Lego stone, a process of exploration towards living a fuller, more harmonious and happier life. And we can only achieve this by working together as one. At the Jasna Rok Lab, we have created a platform of highly preferred partners because there's so much we can learn from each other by combining our diverse expertise across industries, creating a more sustainable world together. And you can be part of this as well. Are you someone who dares to innovate? Do you want to contribute to this mission? Well, then certainly check out our website and feel free to reach out to us. As we are now slowly going back to Earth, I would love, before we land, to give you a little glimpse of the projects that are currently under development. We are working on the collection called Tripophilia, which is a state-of-the-art collection that explores the science behind emotions and its intelligence. It is a combination of craftsmanship with pushing edges of 3D printing technology, and even more importantly, this will be a stepping stone to a much larger project called Opera on Brainwaves. Opera on Brainwaves is a collaboration with a famous soprano singer, Elise Caluwaerts, and 10 other companies. This project already reached more than 150 million people around the globe. It won an award, but it's still under construction. And I'm now going to give you already a quick glimpse.
Together we are creating Opera on Brainwaves. This will be a unique augmented opera experience that will take you on a journey of exploration into the self and the other, into emotions and technology. We are building a statement dress which will visualize Elise's emotions and will add a new dimension to the opera experience. This opera experience might be the first tool to actually train your brain to become more empathetic and to develop a new sensor to receive and transfer emotions.
as a young innovator, I would love to invite you to think about these 3 questions. Maybe after seeing this, the next superpower you'd like to master is emotional intelligence. Certainly feel free to share your answers with us, because we at the Jasna Rok Lab, we really would love to know what your next moonshot is. I would love you to go back to Earth, look outside of the window with a refreshed view on what your role is within your company, within your environment, within the world. When was your last dream coming true moment? And what will be your next?
Not so fast or quick with all those questions, humans. If you wish to see your ambassador again next year, make sure to co-create and contribute to this project. If not, Jasna will stay here, in space with me.
Thank you so much for being here. Really, thanks for showing up and for making an impact in your own already unique way. Yes, we are. We can hear you.
Hello.
Hi, Caroline. Hi, Jasna.
Hi.
We can't see you, but we at least hear you.
Maar misschien is dat juist ook de magie een beetje verpesten. Hè?
Nee. Van de andere camera selecteren.
Ja, die.
Wat moet ik doen?
Camera.
Oké.
Welke duwen? Welke duwen?
Welke FaceTime HD-camera en dan de camera terug opzetten.
Ja.
Nog één keer. Nu gaat het te snel. Ja.
So finally the connection is there.
The connection in space is much faster than on Earth.
True as well. Thanks a lot for inspiring talk. So for a moment I felt it's recorded, but as I knew that it was live, so now we see that everything is live, and I guess now is the time